Here's a look at personal selling. This is one area in marketing where there are many jobs. In fact, millions of people earn their living through personal selling. There are many different types of jobs in sales, but many of them offer interesting challenges and high earning potential. If you're interested, a career track into sales management or marketing management is possible. If you're entrepreneurial and don't mind taking risks, many sales jobs are almost like being your own boss. There are many advantages of personal selling, but I think the most important advantage is that personal selling provides direct and immediate communications feedback. Skilled salespeople are great communicators, and they pay careful attention to customer feedback. Feedback lets the salesperson understand how the customers are reacting, and it gives salespeople an opportunity to adjust the message if necessary. Personal selling is precise because it lets you focus on the most promising prospects. An important part of most sales jobs is developing long-term relationships with customers. This builds loyalty, and it can be personally rewarding. The main disadvantage of personal selling is that it's time-consuming and expensive. It's used in business-to-business marketing and in selling more expensive consumer goods. These transactions generate enough profit to afford personal selling. Most companies have their own sales training and may not all use exactly the same selling process, but many salespeople move through a general selling process that has 7 steps. No two sales situations are exactly alike, so there are many exceptions to the process. Salespeople need to react to each situation, and this is one reason why sales jobs offer interesting variety. Step 1 is prospecting. Most salespeople are responsible for finding good potential customers, and good salespeople always have their antenna up looking for prospects. During the pre-approach, you try to learn as much as possible about the customer. In the approach, most salespeople will just try to develop a good relationship and learn more about the prospect. In B2B marketing, it's common not to try to sell something on the first sales call. You are trying to establish a relationship and position yourself as a problem solver. After learning about the prospect's business and the problems it faces, develop a sales presentation that addresses the problems. Skillfully deal with objections, close the sale, and follow up to make sure the customer is satisfied. The goal is to build long-term relationships and make repeat sales. So this problem-solving process in some form is repeated over and over again. Technology has had a huge impact on all aspects of business, and one example of its impact on sales is the development and growth of the customer relationship management industry. Customer relationship management, or CRM, is an approach to managing a company's interaction with current and potential customers. It uses data analysis about customers' history with the company to improve business relationships with customers, specifically focusing on customer retention and ultimately driving sales growth. One important aspect of CRM is the way data from a range of different communication channels, including the company's website, telephone calls, email, live chat, and social media, is used. Salesforce automation works with all stages of the sales cycle, from initially entering contact information on prospects, tracking sales calls, and the account's history for repeated sales. When we studied the communications process, we learned that the message flowed from the source to the receiver, and feedback flowed from the receiver back to the source. This two-way flow of information makes personal selling a powerful communication tool. Here's a technique I like. Ask a good question related to some problem you can solve, and then shut up until the customer responds. Silence can be uncomfortable, but while you're uncomfortable, the customer is thinking about your question. If you start talking before the customer answers, you're actually interrupting the customer's thought process. But you don't have to talk all the time. Take time to listen. You should normally expect some objections. Price is a common objection in business-to-business sales, so don't be surprised if the customer says something like, "That price is a little steep." I'm not going to discuss all of the various ways you can answer objections, But one way is to ask another question. You could respond by saying, "Okay, help me understand. Why do you think the price is out of line?" Now, that's a question, so shut up and let the customer answer. One interesting thing about sales is that you don't know what the customer is going to say, so you have to be able to respond appropriately no matter what the customer says. As you continue the sales call, you can test the waters by using trial closes. By answering these questions, the buyer is telling you if they're close to buying. If you're presenting two alternatives, you could ask, "Do you like plan A or plan B?" Or you could ask, "How does that sound?" Or, "Do you need it this week or will next week work for you?" If it seems like the prospect is ready to buy, you could say something like this: "Well, I think that covers everything. Let's okay the paperwork." At that point, give the prospect the paperwork and a pen and say, "Sign right here." Closing the sale can be intimidating because sometimes the customer will not buy. So when you attempt to close, you're making yourself vulnerable. Here's the good news. To be successful in sales, you do not have to succeed 100% of the time. It's a little bit like playing baseball. If you get a hit 30% of the time, you're a hero. It's the same way in sales. In some companies, they have different types of salespeople. Order getters actively solicit sales from current customers or new customers. Being an order getter is a valuable skill, and good order getters are highly paid. Other salespeople may be order takers, selling to customers who contact the company and ask to speak to someone in sales. In my experience, most salespeople do both of these tasks. In a few companies, support personnel facilitate selling, but are not directly involved in closing sales. In complex situations, a team of experts led by a salesperson conducts the selling process. The sales philosophy in most business-to-business companies is to use relationship selling. In this approach, the salesperson acts like a consultant, someone who helps find problems and solve them. With this approach, you're not selling products, you're solving problems. Relationship or consultant selling is very common in business-to-business marketing. Salespeople are normally not paid the same way other employees are paid. The objective of compensation plans is to have a plan that's flexible, fair, and easy to administer. To be fair to the company and the salesperson, the compensation levels should reflect the salesperson's value to the firm. Some, but not many salespeople are paid a straight salary, just like an accountant or other administrative employee would be paid. In sales, a salary might be paid during an initial training period. When companies want highly motivated, very aggressive sales efforts, a straight commission plan could be used. Under this plan, the more sales a rep sells, the more money they get paid. If sales are low, they don't get paid very much, but if sales are high, sales reps can make a lot of money. This is a little bit like being self-employed, and most salespeople being paid straight commission have a good bit of freedom to set their own working hours. Most salespeople are paid using some sort of combination plan that combines a salary or other defined level of income plus a commission based on sales. This provides financial security and an incentive component. Some plans use what's called a draw. There are two types of draws, guaranteed and non-guaranteed. With a non-guaranteed draw, you're promised a set amount of money each month. If your draw is $5,000 and your sales commissions are only $3,000, the company will pay you $5,000, but you owe the company $2,000 that will be withdrawn from your pay when you earn more than $5,000 in commissions. With a guaranteed draw, you would be paid $5,000 and you don't have to repay the extra $2,000. This works fine for a few months, but eventually, if you're not earning at least $5,000 in commissions, the sales manager will probably decide that you're not performing satisfactorily. Let's look at personal selling.